to Room 101 after a weekend off. We are back and Celtic are heading to the metropolis of Paisley in St Mirren Park this Sunday. As with that, I am delighted to welcome back St Mirren fan and my pal, Chris Dailly. Well, how are you doing, pal?
How's it going, Scott? You alright, mate?
Hi, I'm doing good. Recovered for the weekend. What about yourself?
Aye, I'm alright, mate. I'm alright. Thanks for asking. Just about getting by.
So we've no actually chatted since really the start of last season, if I'm right.
Aye, it was a while ago, aye.
Would have been like the first game of the season. First time we played, should I say. And you know the script, because it was that long ago, it gives us a good chance to look back at last season and you can tell me how you were feeling about it all the way through before we touch on this year. So to start off, Jim Goodwin was again man at the top, starting his fourth season in charge of the Buddies since replacing Oren Kearney in June 2019. Now, the season kicked off on the 10th of July in the League Cup groups. 4 wins for 4. 3-0 away win to Dumbarton, 1-0 home win over Dunfermline, 3-1 win over Stennismuir, and then a tidy 2-0 win over Partick Thistle with St Mirren Park. Meant that 4-1 from 4, 9 goals scored, 1 conceded. St Mirren topped the group, and then were drawn with Livingston. We played in August at the Tony Macaroni. A 1 each draw, Saints scoring a late in the 82nd minute. Equaliser wasn't enough, as Livingston went through 4-3 in penalties after extra time. So, League Cup wise, out the window straight away.
Yep, pretty much like us, to be honest. These days, we used to be a no bad cup team, but your hopes dashed pretty early doors. Same as this season, mate. Same as this season. Felt like the first third though.
So in the league, I think it's fair to say a very inconsistent season, all the piece. It took four games before the Saints picked up the first point, including the first meeting between the sides, as Celtic won 6-0 at Celtic Park. I don't suppose there's too much to talk about in that one, but more, what was your thoughts of your own team after that game? I mean, like, there was no disgrace coming to Parkhead and getting a doing, because at home we were rocking and rolling, we were looking really good, and all the new guys were all kind of pushing. But were you a wee bit worried at that point?
There was an element of that, Scott. The one thing that I would say with Jim Goodwin, and I'm sure we'll touch on it later on, but he did tend to show the old firm a lot more respect. And what I mean by that is there was almost a fear factor when you went into the games that it was just try not to get pumped. Do you know what I mean? Try not to get pumped rather than have a go. And sometimes, well, certainly you've seen it against Celtic, against Real Madrid. Sometimes attack is the best form of defence. You know, go and have a go at them. If you get pumped 5 or 6-0, then so be it. But it was more like, it wasn't really the case. It was damage limitation. And it was maybe try to get 6 men behind the ball. And it never worked anyway. So I would rather just go out and have a go and get pumped than just sit in. And really, to be honest, there wasn't much of a game plan against the old firm. And that was evident in that result anyway.
Aye, Celtic Park and Ibrox, I kind of get it. I mean, when you speak to the Aberdeen guys, for years, that was all they said. It was just go and have a fucking go. What's the point? What's the point sitting back if you're going to get pumped anyway? You know what I mean?
Exactly that.
As it is. So so a further 2 draws before your first win, and that started a 3-match winning streak. Then we had 11 matches without a win up until the 18th of January and the return after the winter break. But the penultimate match of that run was a 0-0 draw at St Mirren Park in late December. So what do you remember of that game, the nothing each game? Because as I remember, that was the COVID game, wasn't it?
That's right. Aye, we had it was our under 18s, if you remember right. No, it was one of the ones, Scott. You know, it was again, everything goes against you, nothing to lose. You're up against Celtic. You're fearing the worst, and the boys go out and put on a performance of their life. You know, and they defended brilliantly. A lot of the young boys as well, just a total breath of fresh air.
See the guys who came in that day, because it's just came on the top of my head rather than kind of looking back. Have any of them really progressed? Because I'm sure we'll touch about it squad-wise, but has any of them, or was it a case of like, do you ever remember the young boy Harry Cochrane come into Hearts and they were going, fuck me, this guy's going to be the greatest player in the world?
Next Messi. The boy, there's a couple of them. The boy, Jay Henderson, played, and he's been in and out the team. He played pretty regularly last season. He also, he was our young player of the year last season. That was his kind of breakthrough season. He's a good player. Wide man, right-sided. He's, God, what age is he now? Maybe 19, 20. And the other young boy that played that game as well, Kieran Offord, he's been brought in this season. He had played with East Stirlingshire on loan last season, scored a few goals, and to be fair, he was brought into the first team. Stephen Robinson pretty much said at the start of the season, you know, he always promoted youth with Motherwell, and he was keen to give this boy a go. But to be fair, he's loaned him out to Alloa, I think it is. I'm sure it's Alloa. So again, it's another higher level for a boy. So he's already scored a couple of goals in the league this season. So he's only 18. He's one to look out for. So there's a few young boys coming through that are well rated, mate. So hopefully they get a chance.
That's good to hear, because I was going to actually touch on that when we look at the squad. But it's just the thought, because I remember the game. You're kind of going, let's just cancel the game. I mean, I know it ends up fucking egg in the face for Celtic, not, but fucking hell, man. It just, I remember at the time, you're kind of just cancel the game. It
was a crazy time as well, Scott. You know, it was like you were drawing a raffle every second week to see what team are going to be decimated by COVID. So it's one of the things, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So like we said, you were on this 11-match game without a run, and then you come back after Christmas, and this, interestingly enough, was Goodwin's best spell and the team's best spell this season, as 4 wins and 2 draws ultimately put Jim Goodwin on Aberdeen radar to replace Stephen Glass. So sure enough, on the 19th of February, Goodwin left for the North and left the Saints managers list for 3 days when former Motherwell Morecambe manager Stephen Robinson was appointed the new man on a 2.5-year deal. Now, how do you feel at this point? Because, like I say, if you looked at the whole first half of the season, you'd be saying you wouldn't be tipping Goodwin for fuck all, but it just so happens that them punting Glass came at the point that you boys were looking bang on.
It's funny because you'll know, Scott, with social media these days, like everything's really polarised, you know. You're shit hot, amazing, and in the next 2 weeks after a couple of defeats, then you've got fans, screwball fans shouting you for it intact, you know. So as you mentioned it, we went on a horrible run where, you know, we never won a game in 11, and then we were very much a kind of run team last season where we would go a period of being absolutely honking, couldn't buy a win, and then we went through another period. Obviously, as you said, I think it was fun enough 11 games again where we went unbeaten. So Jim Goodwin obviously struck while the iron was hot. He finished he got us into a good position. But you ask a lot of St Mirren fans, match going to St Mirren fans, see some of the football during the games where we went unbeaten, the runs. And I'm not being a perfectionist here, but it was pretty grim to watch some of it, you know what I mean? You were grinding out the odd 1-0, one each, and you know, listen, I'm happy to pick up results, but the football wasn't astonishing. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, and it's certainly not the type of football that I would expect Aberdeen fans to adopt to and enjoy watching. Jim Goodwin, in my mind, has always been a bit of a pragmatist. Do the best you can with what you've got, make yourself hard to beat, and then that's your basis and go for there. So it kind of worked for him in that run at the end. But it wasn't total football by any matter of the imagination.
It's interesting you're touching on there, and it's actually something that me and you have never really spoke about, and how you determine St Mirren on the ladder of Scottish football, right? Because as we talking about it, Aberdeen, just through history and their historical results, third biggest team in Scotland. But that's no kid ourselves. Over the last few years have been fucking gapping, man. They've been rotten, you know what I mean?
All over the shop, haven't they?
And looking at it, I suppose it kind of, already know the answer because they've made the big sales in Ramsey and stuff like that. So you've kind of got the dough to spend. But losing, are you as a St Mirren fan, are you kind of expecting to lose Goodwin to an Aberdeen or a Hib or Dundee or whatever?
The way I see it is if we're losing our managers to clubs like Aberdeen, Hibs or Dundee United, that kind of level of club, then I'm not going to say I'm relaxed about it, but it means it's an indication that we're obviously doing well, that he's been talked up. It's just the nature of the beast. The thing that worries me and the things that I tell to my pals and when we talk about it is like, and maybe I'm getting old, like me and you, mate, I'm St Mirren dads and you're a Celtic dad now, so I know there's a certain criteria that goes with that, but people knew in 5 or 6 games and they want a manager sacked, and I'm always of the opinion, well, you don't sack a manager unless you think there's maybe somebody out there that can do a better job. I know that's not the type of logic that goes in football these days, but when Goodwin went, there wasn't many out and out candidates that excited me, and then when Robinson came in, I was really chuffed, to be fair, because that was a bit left field. Aye. Just only because his record at Motherwell was good. He took them into Europe. He signed a lot of kind of English lower league players that you probably never heard of before, but turned them into a team and they played some decent football. But also, he played a lot of youth players, a lot of young players that came through. Jake Hasty, Turnbull, all that type of guys,
It's all fair points. He says I just couldn't stick him, man. I still don't fucking like him. But like, see what you're just saying, it's all fair. Everything you're saying there's, I mean, that was a point that Motherwell were getting to cup finals and stuff like that regular.
Aye.
That's not a Motherwell.
Exactly. I took them to 2 cup finals and took them into Europe. They finished third in his final season, I think, or the season before last, if you know what I mean. So, for a CV point of view and the football that I wanted to see or the type of team, I always want to see someone bringing through good young players and give them an opportunity. And he certainly had the CV to suggest that there was potential. He could do something with someone.
Nice, man. Well, things under Robinson didn't really get any better. It's his first 3 games, you've only seen 3 defeats. In the middle of that was a 2-0 away defeat to Celtic Platt. Again,
yep.
Don't need to go in a deep dive it. As you say, you weren't expecting much, but
no.
It was actually 2 fucking second half goals, so you were nothing each at half time. But as I remember, Celtic were pretty comfortable that game.
Aye, it was. We were. I'll be honest. I remember it. We were pretty toothless, to be honest. There wasn't much. We never offered much in that game, and if I'm being perfectly honest with you, there wasn't much when he came in at the tail end that showed me really encouraging signs at that stage. But it was early doors. I think you only judge a manager, especially coming towards the tail end of the season and starting in the new season, bringing his own players, build his own squad, give him a pre-season, get the team moulded into how he wants them to play, and it's been a marked difference for then to now.
If you touch on what you actually say, Jim Goodwin's this pragmatist. The football isn't great, whereas Robinson's a guy that you've already said he appreciated the football. You know what I mean? So that is you've got to overturn their players. Look at Goodwin at Aberdeen, for fuck's sake. He walked down with a big axe and just started chopping people down, didn't he?
Aye, I know. Yeah, definitely, aye.
Aye. So a win over Dundee on the 9th of March, a 93rd minute winner from Connor Ronan, meant that St Mirren still had a chance in the top 6 as they were joint 36 points with Ross County in 6th and 1 point off the Hibs in 4th. Fuck's sake. 13 points ahead. You were 13 points ahead of Dundee, who were at the foot of the table. So you were still in the fucking running, but alas, another 3 defeats meant the bottom 6 were confirmed. So you had 1 more defeat and then 2 wins and 2 draws to have a kind of smiley, happy end to the season. And St Mirren finished in 9th place.
Yep.
From the 38 games, 10 wins, 14 draws, 14 defeats, 33 goals scored, 51 conceded, goal difference of -18, 44 points on the board, 3 ahead of 10th place Aberdeen and 1 behind Hibs. Fuck's sake, that's just a shit league last year.
It was crazy, to be honest. I mean, even remember, Scott, you probably weren't really involved in it, but like up to the last day, you know, the table could have changed, I think, within an hour, 7 or 8 places in the last day. It was absolutely mental.
The top and bottom, wasn't it?
Aye,
And
aye,
Aberdeen could still
aye,
qualify and all
aye.
that.
I mean, Ross County could have finished fourth, Livingston could have finished ninth, and it all came down to the last day. It was extremely tight. And the one benefit, or no, the benefit, the one bonus I took out it that we finished above fucking Jim Goodwin's Aberdeen anyway, and get it right up him.
We aren't petty, but fuck them.
Oh, aye, petty as fuck, but get it right up you, Jim Goodwin.
So in the Scottish Cup, under Goodwin, the team progressed through the fourth and fifth rounds with a away win over Ayr United and a home scale and a Celtic Hearts. However, quarter-final defeat at Tynecastle put an end to the cup hopes for another season. So, in general, thoughts on last season?
Slight disappointment, if I'm going to be honest, for going through the previous season. I remember we talking the time before last actually, and I kind of I think I predicted us to finish seventh, which I think was based on the squad. I thought was where we probably realistically would just miss out in the top six. This time, because we were a run team, you know, the 11 games at the start of the season was absolutely honking, and I thought we were in for a hard time. To go 11 unbeaten again to counter that then was good. So all in all, ninth was probably a reasonably fair result, but that's good. But what I said, the last couple of weeks of the season, teams were just jumping about positions all over the place. We just never had that wee run at the end of the season. The likes of Motherwell and Livingston and Ross County had. I mean, Ross County went on a great run at the end of the season. And we didn't. So that's probably, I know that's only a small snapshot in time, but had we won the last 3 games of the season, then we're talking a different conversation. Do you know what I mean?
But I was talking to Ewan for Talk Livy last week, and obviously they fucking bottled it in that
No.
split, didn't they? Because they were 2-0 up and they drew 2-2 and fucking missed it. And he was sitting going, then Murrable's away getting fucking pumped off Sligo, and you're kind of going, we could have done as bad as that.
Exactly. I would have quite easily took a trip to Kazakhstan to get pumped 6-0. No bother, mate. Honestly, I would have went anywhere in Europe at all. That's my dream. Just one trip in somewhere I can't even pronounce or spell. Do you know what I mean?
Right, okay. Right, all right. Right, so this is Robinson's first pre-season. As you'd imagine, there's a good few ins and outs, right? So outwards, Yak Almuk departed for English Championship and moved to Cardiff City. Josh Jack left for Forth Athletic. Kyle McAllister signed a deal with Forest Green Rovers. Defender Conor McCarthy and Matthew Miller left for Barnsley and MacArthur FC. Alan Power returned to Kelly. Northern Irish defender Daniel Finlayson returned home and signed with Linfield for a season loan. Dean McMaster and Lewis Jameson both left for loans with Airdrie, and Kieran Offord joined Alloa for a season loan, who'd you talk about? Yep. And obviously your loans for Connor Ronan and Jordan Jones from Wolves and Wigan ended. Yep. The Connor Ronan one, I think, was a hard hit because he'd done really well for you, didn't he?
He was a player, mate. I scored some fantastic, fucking outstanding goals.
He's still at Wolves, or is he back out?
He's still at Wolves, aye. There was Jim Goodwin, surprise, was sniffing about him. But he decided to stay at Wolves. I don't know if the boy's anywhere near the first team, but he was a player, mate. He was sorry.
Yeah. Does he speak Portuguese? If he does, there's no chance. Folks.
Exactly, I know. He'll need to get a new agent. He'll need Georgie Mendes or whatever his agent. Nah, he was a loss, to be fair. I was sorry to see him go, but I couldn't see him signing for us, to be honest.
Right, okay, incomings. This is what I want to hear for you, right? So, incomings, 26-year-old former Kelly midfielder Mark O'Hara joined up for Motherwell. Yep. Another former Motherwell player, keeper Trevor Carson, was picked up from Dundee United after a spell on loan at Morecambe last season. The 34-year-old still a Northern Irish international. 25-year-old forward journeyman Jonah Oyunga was picked up from Morecambe, whilst 24-year-old forward Toyoso Olosanya was picked up from...
I was just laughing at you. I'm can't wait for you trying to pronounce this.
I done a fucking podcast with a Ukrainian fucking guy earlier this week. I'm fucking sound now. Ryan Strain, a 25-year-old English right back, was picked up for Maccabi Haifa in Israel. The Aston Villa youth player had played much of football in Australia. Scottish international centre back Declan Gallagher was picked up for Aberdeen after Jim Goodwin cancelled his contract early. Keanu Bacchus, a 24-year-old Australian under-23 player, was picked up from Western Sydney Wanderers. The defensive midfielder was born in Durban in South Africa but grew up in Australia. And finally, Alec Gogic, the Cypriot international midfielder who joined the club permanently after a spell on loan last season from Hibs. All players who left and signed were free transfers, aside from Trevor Carson, where a nominal fee was paid. Right, go for it. Anybody left, right, because we talked about Connor Ronan, anybody left that you were kind of sad to see go, and who were you happy to get in before you seen them?
I wasn't really sorry for any of them to go, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, mate. Conor McCarthy, just for the vibes, because he was the one that scored the goal against Rangers in the 3-2 game, the big defender, the big Irish boy. So that was a Syrian because obviously, he scored that memorable goal, and it's at Mum Park. So sorry to see him go. But Declan Gallagher, Trevor Carson, Mark O'Hara, those three names jump out as soon as they were signing for St Mirren, because I'm pretty sure most guys that follow Scottish football know most of them, even if they don't know what Mark O'Hara does or his talent or his skill. He's been about Scottish football for a while. He's played in the top league for a while, and it was exactly the type of player that we were looking for. Declan Gallagher, I was really surprised that we managed to get him.
It is a wild one with Declan Gallagher because we're going to touch about the formation wise, but it was interesting talking to the Aberdeen boys about him because I thought he was a great signing for Aberdeen, an absolutely brilliant signing.
Yeah.
But they slaughtered him, man.
Aye. I know they
ripped him
did.
apart.
I know they did. Scott, see, to be fair, but see, and I can only go on Declan Gallagher at St Mirren. I've seen a bit of him at Aberdeen, but what chance have you got when you've got David Bates as your defensive partner? Do you know what I mean? He is a fucking haddy, and he has got the best agent. He's got the best agent in football, man. Him and Oliver Burke have shared the same agent. Honestly, I've seen Milk turn quicker than David Bates.
Stick all the Burnley in there with him as well, and you've got it.
Aye, true, true. So I know he had a bad season, and I don't think, obviously, the confidence. I don't think, to be fair, Aberdeen fans are the easiest once you have a bad couple of games and you maybe go on a bad run. And obviously, the whole team were honking last season.
Exactly.
Whole team were honking, and he seems to have bore the brunt of that, unfortunately. But so far, when he's come in, he's been excellent for us, mate. I've been absolutely delighted with him.
Right, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I'm happy with that one. And the keeper's done well, huh?
Yeah, aye. Again, Jack Anick was a big. In fact, I take that back. Earlier on, I said I wasn't too bothered. Jack Anick was a big loss. He was, in my mind, one of the best keepers in the league for a spell. I think the stats last season would have backed that up. I think he was in the top 3 or 4 for, saves made, clean sheets, etc. I think he actually still holds the record for the most clean sheets in a season for St Mirren. He went to Cardiff City. His contract was up. He'd had a good few years with us, and he deserved his move. But signing Trevor Carson, and it's an old fashioned, but he was, and it's, excuse the pun, but he was a safe pair of hands. When you look to see what that can dumpling and Dundee United's goal they knew, I can't believe they let Trevor Carson go. Old Poppadom Horns Birighetti or whatever. He's conceded about 50 goals, I think, this season.
No, in fairness to them, they've shared the goals, the two goalies.
Aye, they did. Is it a Swedish boy or something now? They've got so they've conceded about 40 goals each.
They've shared them. They're no greedy, the bastards. I mean, the Gogic one, how did he look for you last season? Because he was always somebody at Hamilton Accies I really liked. I never ever felt he was good enough to kind of come in and command a place for us every week, yeah. But the way he played for Hamilton, when he signed for Hibs, I was like, that's a fucking great signing. And it kind of started well for him, then just went down. But how's it looking like for you?
Yeah. When I first seen him at Hibs, I liked him. I really liked him at Hamilton. He was solid, you know, and to be fair, he was solid, but he was more than just a an enforcer. You know, he could put his foot in. He was good in the air, but he could play football as well. He could pass the ball as well. You know, I followed him when he went to Hibs, and to be fair, I don't think Jack Ross fancied him much, and he never get much of a game. And then when he came to us, he was excellent for us again on loan. I think the fact he's versatile, he can drop back and play as in the back three, but he can also sit and play as a defensive midfielder or a number six. So um, he actually came out and said on Twitter that at the close season there, St Mirren fans were just hounding him, basically try to say, when you signing, please come back. And he did, to be fair, he came out and said it. He said, look, that was a big part. I really felt wanted. I enjoyed my football. And to be fair to the club, I think Stephen Robinson had actually pretty much said, our business is done. And then whether Robinson's had a conversation with his agent late on, but the club had went out and spent the money on getting him that realistically they said they never said they never had, but they never budgeted for. So they've pushed the boat out to get him.
What did you pay deal for him? Did you?
No, no,
No,
no, it
no,
was a
you
free transfer. It's obviously just a wage, Scott. It's obviously just a wage, mate. Aye. So I don't think they paid any money for him. But as far as we were concerned and the club were concerned, I think our business was done. But I'm really delighted to have him in the team because he just gives us that bit of solidity, bit of versatility that if we need him to drop back into the back three or if MD's missing, he can play in any role really in midfield and all. Within the central. He's not a wide man, Christ, but he can play anywhere at the back and in defensive midfield. So I really like Gogic.
You'd know better than me. In our league, there is certain guys you didn't. As much as I would love to see Scottish football turn into this fast flowing bastion of fucking sexy football, we know that there's guys in this league you need in your team, right? And use guys at Alan Power last year never really worked for you in the same way it worked for Kelly. But guys like Mark O'Hara, Trevor Carlson, like we said, Gogic,
Yep.
Declan Gallagher. They're all
Yep.
Scottish Premiership players. They're no
Yep.
First Division, they're no Championship. They're Scottish Premier.
Aye.
And they might not work in that team, but they'll work in that team. So
Yep.
they're always good to
Aye. And to be fair, Scott, as well, just a quick one, like all the names you mentioned there, in my opinion, apart from maybe Connor Ronan, in fact, definitely Connor Ronan, I would suggest that all the guys there that we brought in this season are a step up to what we had last season as well. So that's realistically, that's what you're looking for in football. You know, you're looking to improve season on season. And I think most, if not all, St Mirren fans, I certainly don't talk for them, but I think most would probably agree with me that this season, the squad, definitely, the overall squad of 20 players that we've got is stronger than it was last season.
like you said, that's right. So let's jump into the squad then. Going by the last couple of times we chatted, right, and this is where I put my horn up and show my ignorance because I don't see you guys enough, and I'm basically going with names, right. I think Richard Tate is still a standout for St Mirren. I think every time I see him, I'm impressed with him, a player.
Yep.
I don't know if that's still the case. Curtis Main was a guy who looked great for Motherwell, kind of floated about, and again, he looks like he's found a home again, maybe working with Robinson again. He looks like a decent player.
I'd
Eric
agree with
Broski
that.
had a great season last season. Don't know again how he's looking. Marcus Fraser was always somebody I thought was a great signing when you go up for Ross County. But so am I right about the guys? Who am I missing in the squad that you think, right, he's really important to us? And then touch on any young guys that you think everybody should be keeping an eye out.
Right, okay. Well, on the names that you mentioned, Richard Tate is a good, solid left wing back. That's where he's playing just now. He's not got the legs now. I mean, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head, but I think he's maybe 32, Scott. Right? He's definitely he's a solid squad player. Never lets us down. He's fit as a fiddle. I think he actually does PT as well in his spare time. He's one of these maniacs that runs up hills and all that. Do you know what I mean? When he's not playing football, he's away doing fucking marathons and shit. You know what I mean? So Richard Tate is I really like Richard Tate. He'll never let you down. Whether he can play 90 minutes every single week, I'm not sure. But we've got Scotty Tanser as well there as a left wing back, who came from St Johnstone, another one well known in Scottish football, good pedigree. The only problem with Scotty Tanser is I think he's built out of fag papers and PVA glue because he's injured every other game, to be honest with you. So that's they two tend to take a shot each, left wing back or left back, depending on what we're playing. You mentioned Marcus Fraser. Marcus Fraser is he's one of the kind of 7 out of 10 guys most weeks. You know, he's pretty dependable. He was out the team for a wee spell last season. He went through a wee bad spell, lost his form, and I really like Marcus Fraser. But he's came back in and he's playing as a kind of right side of the back three we're playing just now. I know we'll talk on the shape and tactics later on, but so far he's been pretty good and he looks comfortable there. Gave away the penalty against St Johnstone on Saturday, which was a shocker. And he was exposed there. But apart from that, he's been pretty good this season, and he does look more comfortable in that right hand side of the back three. Who else did you say there? Curtis Main. Curtis Main was a bit of a running joke. I'm not going to lie amongst St Mirren fans. No, he ran about. He worked hard, but he looked as if he couldn't hit a fucking barn door with a banjo at one stage. Under obviously Stephen Robinson actually came out at the start of the season and said, "Look, I know him. I know what he's capable of. I know what he can do," and he does. He looks like a different player. I think the fact that we are playing a kind of 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2, whatever, he's got another player up beside him in Bigger Younger. They two are big physical units. They put themselves about, and it definitely helps Curtis Main's game to have somebody beside him rather than just try to be a target man, holding the ball up, and then you've not got another attacking player within 10, 15 yards of you, you know. He's not that type of player that can take it on a run and dribble and buy guys. He needs somebody to lay it off to, and then we can try and start an attack. So, no, they guys have all started reasonably well. They seem to have bought into what Robinson's trying to do. The one guy I would note, Scott, just to look out for, who's not going to be with St Mirren for long, mate, is the boy Keanu Bacchus, Australian boy. He's 24, I think, but he's built like the side of a fag paper. But he's got some engine on him. He's up and down. He plays as a defensive midfielder realistically, but he breaks forward, he tackles, he can pass, he can dribble. I don't think we'll be seeing him in at St Mirren for much past this season, if I'm being honest with you, mate.
How long did they sign up for?
They tend to 2 years, I think. They tend to, aye. 2 years. We tend to go for the 2 years, just kind of in between the 1 year's maybe no give the guys, especially guys coming from abroad, Australia and places like that. So most of your signings get 2 year deals, to be fair, which give them a wee bit of security. But if anybody down south is watching him, even at this start early in the season, he'll be away playing in the Championship, I think, next season. Aye, listen, I'd be delighted to keep him, but he can do everything a midfielder should. Really, really, really good player. And at 24, he's only going to get better, I think, you know.
That's interesting, mate. So, you were talking earlier on, any young guys in the squad that you think will kind of poke in this season, or are they all
Aye, there's Fraser Clark is a young boy. He's an attacking forward. He's played a couple of games in the League Cup early on. Unfortunately, we likes of Adrian that and Arbroath, we never made a good show of ourselves in the League Cup group stage and get papped out in the first stage. So it wasn't a great arena to show his talents, but he looks one for the future. He's certainly going to be a player to keep an eye on. He looks as if he's got real pace, sorry. And Kieran Offord as well. Kieran Offord is out on loan at Alloa, but I think that boy has got potential. He seems to score goals everywhere he goes to date. He's only 18. He's just signed an extension with St Mirren as well, a contract extension. So maybe no this season. I think having a season out on loan with Alloa certainly won't hurt the boy's chances. But I think you'll see him next season, hopefully getting a wee shot and getting a breakthrough.
As you say, last season, Sterling scored, in league-wise anyway, he scored 11 goals in 16 games, 18-year-old, and he's plays for Scotland under 16 and the under 19s.
Yeah.
Aye, decent man, aye. That's one
Aye, so
You say keep an eye on.
I want to keep an eye on now.
Nice one, mate. Nice one. Right. Okay. So you've already kind of touched on it, so we'll confirm it. League Cup started early again this season. A 1-0 home defeat to Arbroath.
Too early for us, anyway. Oh, fuck.
I'd say despite their advancements last season, that's still bloody sore. A 2-0 away win over Cowden Beath gets you back in the group, but a 2-0 away loss to Airdrie kills the hope, and then you finish with a 3-1 win over Edinburgh. So St Mirren finished the group in third place. 2 wins, 2 defeats, 5 goals scored, 4 conceded, 6 points, 2 behind Airdrie in second, and 6 behind Arbroath. Poor mate.
Shocking. Honestly, absolutely shocking. I was in holiday for most of the games, and I paid the pay-per-view and I watched them, and honestly the Airdrie game fucking ruined my day. Absolutely, it did. Honestly, I was in a huff all day. Sitting in 32-degree heat with a pint. I should have been enjoying myself, and I was peeling. The performance against Airdrie was absolutely abysmal. I think, and I know I'd get slaughtered for saying this. Everybody was in the same, and this is the same pattern that Stephen Robinson gets slaughtered with. It was just too early for us, you know. The signings that had came in weren't ready. We weren't gelled as a team. It's no excuse to be losing to Airdrie and teams like that, but it's just one of the things, you know. It didn't go for us. The boys didn't look as if they knew what they're doing. They didn't look fit, and it was sore at the time. But in the grand scheme of things, I wasn't losing the head. I wasn't worried about the season. Losing a couple of games in July when the guys have only been in for a couple of weeks, that is what it is, mate.
Again, this is something I've not really spoke to boys about when I do this, but do you think the League Cup groups are worth it? Or are they fucking...
They're worth it if you get through. They're worth it. Listen, I don't like play. For me, rightly or wrongly, when I go to the games in July for the League Cup games, when I go to the St Mirren games away, when I go to Stenhousemuir or Stirling Albion or something, it's like fucking pre-season friendly for me. You know, that's what I treat it as. And to be honest with you, no manager's going to tell you that. But any Premier League manager, I think, is doing the exact same thing. Don't worry, lads. This is a fitness exercise. You'll go out and beat them. And he's not telling him that, but he's maybe thinking that. You know what I mean? And we should have enough to beat Airdrie. There's no doubt in that. I mean, we made hard work against Cowden Beath, for fuck's sake. Honestly, so that's no excuse. We were just honking on the day. Absolutely dreadful performance. Every single one of them were terrible. In the Airdrie game, that's the standout that was just horrible. So I'm not going to get too upset about it. The League Cup, as you know, we've got recent history in that. So you know, another day at Hampton would have been amazing, but it wasn't to be. Hopefully, we'll do that in the Scottish Cup. I'll take it Scottish.
I'll see you in Hampton, mate.
Okay.
Right. League-wise, pretty poor start, I know. A home defeat tomorrow, who ended the match with 10 men.
Yeah.
A younger had a fucking header saved by Liam Kelly, which is out of this fucking world, man.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, the penalty looks fucking dodgy as hell, does it know, man?
Aye, I know. Listen, see, as you said there, Scott, obviously, like, a bad start. Andy that was in St Mirren Parking that day walked away genuinely quite excited. The performance was tremendous, really, really good. We played Motherwell off the park for most of the game. We peppered the goal. We just couldn't score. And then they hit us with a sucker punch. So I know results don't always tell you the story. We actually played really well. And most of the people I've spoke to have said the same thing. So all the signs were encouraging.
Right, okay, well, you followed that up with a 4-1 pump the Pataudry.
Yes.
But again, there's first half red card for Aberdeen old boy Declan Gallagher, and then it was one.
Never a red.
I fucking you seconds a day for it, man.
No
fucking
chance. What's he meant to try and get up? What's he meant to do?
No chance.
I cannot believe you're backing fucking sheepshackers, man. That's unbelievable.
And then, like, to be honest, it just looks like a bad day for you because I mean, McCrory strikes a fucking worldy and everything. I mean, but after that, things are looking up. A 1-0 win over Ross County was followed up by that great 3-0 win over United at Tannadice, where you were clinical, and then you had the 1-0 home win over Hibs.
Yep.
Now, before we come to 2 weeks ago's game, I think for the highlight, like you've already kind of touched on it, the highlights don't tell me how the game's going. It shows me
Yep.
it shows me what they want to show. It fits in fucking 5 minutes. But when I look on the stats and stuff, you seem to be giving up a lot of possession this season.
Yep.
Until this St Johnstone game, which is ironically where you get beat 3-0. Do you know what
Yep.
I mean? So is that a sign of how you are playing? You are maybe looking to hit that counter, or
Yep.
is it just kind of settling in?
No, that's it exactly. It's very definitely a way that Robinson's got us set up to play. We're trying to make ourselves quite tight and compact, which, to be fair, on the whole, we have done after the Aberdeen game, and then just break teams down on the counter. You know, there's a couple of triggers if you watch us. There's a couple of triggers where the boys will go and press. It's very well organised. They know what they're doing, and then when they see an opportunity, they go. Dundee United was at the point, you know, it was just textbook counter attacking. Dundee United, to be fair, were horrible. They were miles off it, and aye, that worked perfect for us on the day.
Carson still is a great game that day as well, no matter how much United are bringing that. I mean, Carson's done his job.
He did. Aye, listen, he made a couple of he made a couple of great saves. They did, especially in the second half when they were obviously shell shocked by what they were seeing, and then came out and having a go at us. But aye, 100%. I mean, your average possession over the last couple of games, apart from, as you said, Scott, apart from the St Johnstone game, has been, you know, mid to high 30s. So it's a very deliberate ploy. In fact, I think Stephen Robinson said after the Hibs game, we had too much of the ball. And even then, I know, and even then we had less than 40%. So I'm all right with it. I genuinely am. Like he's got a definite way of playing. He thinks that the best opportunity for us to win is to go down a counter-attacking route. And so far, from what I've seen, the guys know what they're doing. They're bought into it, and we seem to be actually no bad at it.
See, to be honest, right? I mean, like, you've got football purists over there, and you've not got 80% possession, you're not a football team. But I mean, I remember we obviously had more possession, but Brendan Rodgers' first year, see that quick counter, it was fucking magnificent. It was really exciting. Do you know what I mean? And then the following year, we're playing with Charm in the team, and you're getting 85% possession, and it's fucking dross, man. It's like that's turgid. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, the way I see it, you look at the likes of Liverpool. I know it's not a very fair comparison, but like whatever the Klopp calls it, rock and roll football or something, they move the ball very quickly. Their counter-attacking team. I mean, we're not putting myself in the same bracket, but as you say, I used to love watching the Barcelona 2009, where it was just unbelievable football. But then you watch the Spain of 2014 World Cup, where they just kept the ball and done absolutely nothing with it, and it was fucking boring. You know, I quite like watching counter-attacking football because it suits the Scottish game. It's fast, quick breakaways. You know, as long as you make yourself compact and you've got the guys in the park that can do it. And with the two wing backs that we're playing, the likes of Ryan Strain, everything goes down his side of now, mate. He's a smashing wee player. More than half of, I think, our attacks go down the right-hand side now, and that's where it comes from. So aye, so far so good. I'm enjoying watching it, and it does make for an exciting game.
Good. So, with three games, sorry, as it sits after 6 games, St Mirren sit in 6th place, 3 wins, 3 defeats, goal difference of -2, 9 points, 1 off in Motherwell 5th, and joint with Livingston in 7th. So you've already kind of said. So with 3 games last season, right, with the 6-0 and 0-0, and then the 2-0, right? So like we've said, we've flung the Celtic Park away, the 0 each game, and you've got a history of making it hard for us at your midden. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I've had to explain this all the time. I grew up just calling somebody's away run a midden. And that,
oh, right, okay. I thought that was a play on the old St Midden pattern. I thought you're better than that, mate. You're no man of name, surely.
it's a Macquarieism, to be honest, right? I'm too long in the tooth to get shot here. Right, so with that in mind, right, so in the League Cup, you set up with the 4-3-3, but since the Edinburgh tie, you've been set up the 3-5-2 stroke 5-3-2.
Yep.
It ties in with what the Aberdeen boys were saying about Declan Gallagher. And Declan Gallagher looked at his total finest is when he played for Motherwell or Scotland in the back three.
Yep.
And you guys are playing in the back three. So
yep.
So that leads to, how do you think you guys will be setting up this weekend? How do you think Robinson will approach the game? Who do you think will be starting? What do you think the score will be?
Right. Well, after the last couple of weeks in Celtic results, this has been keeping me awake at night. I think we're going to go 3-5-2 again. I can't see us changing it. More predominantly 5-3-2 to be fair. I don't think we're going to change that. I think he's going to go for the same tactic, trying and hit you on the break. I just don't know when we're going to get a kick of the ball, which worries me, to be honest. The only, and generally it is the only way I can see it. Like the extra high line that you guys play, with obviously Joe Hart playing his fucking sweeper keeper. The only thing I can see us doing is trying to identify that, and we get a break and we just knock it in behind, and somebody runs on. Apart from that, mate, Jesus, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
See, in fairness, right? In fairness, these ones I've been doing this season have been harder, right? Because we have looked really good. So you're talking to people and like in the past, you're kind of going, right, I think we do this. And I think we because I remember the Aberdeen boys are saying to me, oh, we'll just target Greg Taylor. And every Celtic fan to a man's going, Greg Taylor's been stunning this season. Absolutely.
No, he has, mate. I've watched quite a bit of these, obviously, because you're hearing know about Ange Ball, so I've watched these were on the telly, and honestly, man, I'm like, fucking hell.
I mean, it is good, you know what I mean? But
Aye.
so
It's the movement. It's the movement and the relentlessness. You just, I mean, the do not stop pattern is it's actually they don't stop. And what would concern me is we have got a habit of some individual errors. Like, listen, a bottom six team right now is going to happen. But if we do that against the likes of Celtic, we're going to get punished. So for us to try and get any kind of positive result, we need to have 11 men right on it, be lucky, and
the old adage, use guys at the top of your game, and us.
exactly. You need to have an off day. We need to have a fucking the day of our lives, and we need to get lucky with a couple of breaks or a bounce of a ball or something. Aye, if we can keep it respectable as well, I'd probably take that now.
Right. Okay. So we'll no push more of that, right? So tell me your hope for the season then, just in general.
Excuse me. Generally, top six finish, I think, could be achieved. Again, Hibs.
Everybody's gunning for it. Everybody's gunning for us. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't think Ross County are going to have the same season they had last season. Regan Charles Cook is away. He was their talisman. They're still a decent team, but they don't have the goal threat. Motherwell, St Johnstone are poor. I think it's close. I think we're very close. I think this is probably our best opportunity we've had. There's no more COVID. Well, touch wood. There's not going to be the same level of fucking chaos in the league. It should be, I think, relatively what's the word I'm looking for? Calm, and it's going to go to plan. So my heart says Scottish Cup final. My heart and my head says I'll take a top six, and I would love a trip to Hampden for the Scottish Cup. But I think if we were to achieve a top six finish, I think that would be more than enough to keep even the grumpy St Mirren fans happy.
Good man. Good man, right. So I'm going to finish on the topic of tickets, right? And I want to get your opinion on it. I
Sure.
I think you know me kind of well enough that
Yep.
I'm fair. I like to think I'm fair. Don't get me wrong, I'm biased, but I think I'm fair.
Yep.
But I just want to hear kind of your thinking on it.
Yep.
Right. So as I am led to believe, you can correct me if this is incorrect. St Johnstone fans were asked or polled at the start of the season about allowing Celtic and Rangers to have more tickets for their games.
Don't know why they would ask the Johnson fans.
St Johnstone, St Mirren, sorry, mate.
They've not got any fans St Johnstone anyway.
I'm laughing at you calling them crap after they bumped you 3-0, but
they're still shite.
But right, so they asked the St Mirren fans again. When I finish, you can correct me here. If you guys were willing to give us extra tickets, and the option was be that you stump up more over the season to accommodate people who don't go or whatever, right?
Cover the shortfall, why?
That basically it.
Yep.
And what was the percentage of the thumbs up for that? Was it huge or was it touch and go or what?
No, it was pretty unanimous, mate. To be honest
Right.
with you, I've got a kind of an invested interest because I'm a SMISA member. So when it was put to a vote, and it was, I wouldn't say it wasn't unanimous, but it was a large majority agreed with it. I'll tell you why. St Mirren fans and people have got a short memory in this. We never used to give the Old Firm 2 stands for a long time. It's not always been the case at that stadium. I can't remember exactly when it came in, but it did. So I know for a fact there's a lot of fans that I speak to, and they were getting parked at their season book in the family stand to sit in another seat that wasn't theirs. They were fed up with that. There was other people as well, I know, that they didn't want to take their kids along to the game because of the songbook. They weren't too keen on some of the stuff that was coming out the fans, the away fans. And obviously when you've got two stands, fully it's a lot louder than one stand. So that combined with feeling like an away fan in your own ground is just obviously there was always dissenting voices when the Old Firm came, but last season in particular and the season before, it grew and grew into almost, I think, the majority of the St Mirren fans were against the idea again on the two stands. I'll be honest with you, Scott, before last season, I was relatively easy about it because I was tempered with, well, listen, see if it gives us an extra 100 grand a year or something, then it gives us a more chance of being successful in the transfer market, blah, blah, blah. But I'm one of the ones that will hold his hands up and say, no, we're listening to the other fans and what they were saying. And I said, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. And the club have got to make a stance. And to be fair to St Mirren, they did make a stance. We're a fan-owned club, sorry. They listened to the majority of the fans and they made the right decision in my mind.
That sounds fine to me. I mean, the only thing that grinds me about it, right? I am, again, you'll never find me on Twitter fucking pontificating to St Mirren fans and St Johnstone fans and Ross County. This is how you should be running your club. You guys run that club how you want. My only grind is this whole shitty Sky deal we sign up with. And I've maintained, I actually think me and you spoke about it, was I think we should be doing everything to fill the stands. And hopefully that means that the three ends are full with St Mirren fans.
Yep.
I mean, that would be, and we all still struggle for a ticket. Because, well, I've not got a ticket for Sunday. I never got a ticket, but fortunately enough for myself, I'm fucking out the country anyway, so I'm no really missing out. But it is harder and harder and harder to get tickets because of the demand. But that's what happens when you've got big support. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean,
aye.
But my grievance is we're trying to sell this product and we're trying to tell people Scottish football's nowhere near as bad as what you make out, and there's big fucking empty bits constantly. And see every grievance you gave there, I think that's fine. Ross County said the SLO for Ross County, Kenny, said the exact same thing. He says, how can I sell a season ticket and then 2 games a season I've got to 48 people at the seats? And I mean, that's no fair. I think that's no fair. I mean, but I'm never going to tell. But like I say, that's the one grievance I've got, is that it's a bad picture, isn't it? It's a bad picture. Scottish football doing well. They're the big Aberdeen. Aberdeen's the worst one for it. I mean, Aberdeen fucking constantly did. I mean, for the third biggest club in Scotland, it's fucking did.
Aye, I think their stadium's too big for their fan base, to be honest with you. They're never going to be able to fill that.
They're building a new one, aren't they?
One thing I would say, Scott, is, like, to be fair, the club aren't daft. They've thought about this, and obviously with the media coverage, whoever it was that spouted that and put it on as some kind of news story when this had been decided months ago. But anyway, the St Mirren are a fan-owned club. What we're trying to do to fill that gap, and we appreciate that there is potentially gaps here, is that they're looking to provide fans to offer tickets to other members of the community that maybe can't afford it. One of the games, there was, I think it was 30 or 40 Ukrainian refugees that came over to live in Paisley or in close to Paisley, and they took into a game. So it's not as if we're doing it out of spite, and it's like, fuck you, say, like, fuck you, Rangers, you're not getting the seats and they'll just sit empty. They're going to the schools, they're giving out free tickets to every school in Renfrewshire. They're doing, like, donate a buddy or whatever, and like the fans can choose to purchase a ticket for somebody for a game that can't usually afford it. So for me, I know the negative press that we got, but nobody's talking about that stuff that we're doing, to try and bring in people, especially with the cost of living crisis in now, mate, and whatever else.
But we've got a similar thing, but it's no affiliated with the club. It's very much a separate entity that is only now being embraced by the club as a Kano, and now
I've heard of that, mate. Aye.
They've got the season ticket block, and they get funds off of guys like me and you and all that, and then they just bring big groups of Waynes or the games, and they give them a day out. But no, I mean, see that should get publicised. That should be fucking rung for the heavens. And see if every club done that. I think you would get a lot more people going and going. You'd still get the dickheads telling you, I deserve, you know what I mean? But
and the thing is as well, Scott, let's be honest, if you're bringing in 5-6-year-olds for school or 7-8-year-olds, it's long term. They might not come every week, but see if they get free tickets and they go, do you know what, Dad, that was all right. Can I go back? 25 years down the line, they might be season ticket holders and bringing their wins. So you can't have this short-term view of, oh, look, there's fucking 200 seats missing. So it must pricks. So the week on week, you might start to fill these seats because, this wee boy might bring his pal and she might bring her pal through school because they get free tickets. And then, oh, Dad, can we go to the football? I'm not a St Mirren fan, son, but I'll go. And then, 10 years' time, they're season ticket holders, their whole family are season ticket holders. So you need to look at the long-term view, and getting free tickets to school wins is a no-brainer for me, an absolute no-brainer. I can't believe me.
The lotteries together, we get the ticket fucking prices down. That's the next one for us all.
Like 100%, mate, 100%.
Right, okay, mate. Perfect. Thank you very much for taking your time out your busy schedule to speak to me. Before you go, social media, tell the people where you are and if they want to follow you. And once again, I would say you're a good follow, so I would recommend you.
Thanks very much, Scott. If you don't mind as well, mate, I'm going to do a wee plug. I'm doing the Edinburgh Kilt Walk on Sunday, so I wouldn't even have made the game. But if they follow me,
I could have took your ticket.
Fuck off. I would have give you it. You're not there, anyway. No, actually, I've donated it to a Mirren fan, so there you go. So at Chris Dailly on Twitter, pretty much just chat shite about football, Scottish football, passionate about Scottish football. But if you go on there, there'll be a wee link to my Just Giving for the Edinburgh Kilt Walk. I'm doing it in aid of the St Mirren Charitable Foundation, who do a lot of good work in the charity for the most vulnerable in the community in Paisley and the surrounding district. So apart from that, if you want to just see me chat shite about Scottish football, then you'll get me at Chris Dailly, Dailly.
Outstanding, my man. Well, thank you very much for doing that. Absolutely the best of luck on Sunday for your kilt walk. Hope your team get pumped, and good luck for the remainder of the season, bud.
Thanks very much, Scott. Good to speak to you again, mate, and I hope your team get pumped on Sunday.
See you soon, pal.
Cheers, pal. Take care.